Today's lesson is titled Improper Fractions and Mixed Numbers. The objective today is I will identify and write mixed numbers as improper fractions and improper fractions as mixed numbers. First, we need to define what a mixed number is and an improper fraction. So the first vocabulary word that you need to write into your notes is a mixed number. A mixed number is a number that has a whole number part and a fractional part. So for example, a whole number, so we could have something like 2, and you could have 2/3. So if you were thinking of candy bars, you could say that you had 2 whole candy bars and 2/3 of another candy bar. Then an improper fraction is the complete opposite. It's a fraction in which the numerator is equal to or greater than the denominator. If you think of the word improper, it's not proper, so it's not going to look right. And an example would be 4/3. The numerator is bigger than the denominator, which that doesn't look right, but that makes it an improper fraction. Let's look at the following problem. It says Albert took 1 1/3 granola bars with him on a bicycle ride. How can you write 1 1/3 as a fraction? Use fraction strips or pictures to solve with your shoulder partner. I'm going to use a picture, and we're not going to solve with a shoulder partner. I'm going to use a picture to represent this. But first, let's look at our problem. So our numbers are 1 1/3, and the question is, how can you write 1 1/3 as a fraction? So if you look back at the vocabulary, we know that 1 1/3 is a mixed number because it has a whole number and it has a fractional part. So if you look at my picture, I have one whole candy bar, which is the first one, and I have 1/3 of a candy bar. So here is my 1, and this is my 1/3 granola bar. So we want to write it as a fraction. Well, if I look at my whole, I can break it up into a fraction to also equal whole. We know that any number, if you have 3/3, 4/3, 3/3, 4/4, 6/6, if the numerator and the denominator are exactly the same, then you know that it's also equal to one whole. So if I take my first granola bar and I divide it into thirds, I know that I have 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3, which this also equals 1, or 3/3. Then you have your 1/3 left. So if I just want to write it in a fraction, which is going to be an improper fraction, I just have to count how many thirds I have. I have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3 all together. So if I was to write this as a fraction, I would actually be writing it as an improper fraction, which were to say I had 4/3, because if you count all together. Without using a fraction strips or a picture, there is a way to change a mixed number to an improper fraction. So in the previous problem, it said that I had 1, I'm going to make that bigger, 1 1/3 granola bars. So the first step, now it's very important that you write these steps in your notes so that you know what to do. The first step is you take the whole number, and that x means you are going to times, or another word is to multiply. You're going to multiply the whole number times the denominator. So if you look here, I'm talking about 3 times 1. I'm doing this, 3 times 1. And 3 times 1 is 3. So now the second step is to add step 1's answer, which we said was 3, to the numerator. So now we're going to do 3 plus, let's change that, 3 plus 1, which that is going to give us 4. So step 2's answer, which we said was 4, that is the fraction's numerator, and then you keep the denominator from the original mixed number. So my denominator was a 3, so that is 4/3, which if you remember from the previous slide, that it was 4/3 was our answer. So we're going to try another one. So this is a mixed number because it has a whole number and a fraction. So we're going to go through the steps. Now the first step tells us that we are going to, step 1 says to multiply the whole number times the denominator. So I'm first going to do the whole number, which is 1, times 4. When you do that, your answer is going to be 4 times 1 is 4. You then, the second step, is to take the answer to the first step, which was 4, and we are going to add it. That's an addition sign. We're going to add it to the numerator. So 4 plus 3 is going to give us 7. Then the last step says that we are going, and this is going to be our numerator, the last step tells us that we're going to look at what our denominator was from our original fraction. It was 4, so that means 4 is going to be the denominator of the improper fraction. Now we need to learn how to take an improper fraction and turn it into a mixed number. So here is my improper fraction, 10/3. We know it is improper because the numerator, 10, is larger than the denominator. So it doesn't look right, it doesn't look proper. So the first step, now they aren't numbered, the first step is to divide the numerator by the denominator. Okay, so you're going to have, how many times does 10 go into 3 evenly? Well, we know that it's going to be 3 is how many times it will go in evenly, and you will have 1 left over. Okay, so if we look at our answer, which is 3 remainder 1, which here I have it here, 3 remainder 1, it says to keep the whole number 3. So the 3 is going to be your whole number in your mixed number. 3 is going to be your whole number. Then your remainder, which is 1, is going to become the numerator of your mixed numbers fraction. And then you're going to keep the denominator from the original fraction. So if you look here, the original fraction has a 3. So that is the denominator of our mixed number fraction. So the mixed number is 3 1/3. Let's try changing the improper fraction 7/3 into a mixed number. So if we look at it, we know that 7/3 is an improper fraction because the numerator, 7, is bigger than the denominator of 3. So the first step tells us that we need to just divide. So think about what you're doing is you're thinking of this line as a division sign. So really this is saying 7 divided by 3. So if we do, let me change that, 7 divided by 3, I think how many times can 3 go into 7 evenly? How many times can I count by 3 before I get to 7? And it's going to be 2. And then I multiply, 2 times 3 is 6, subtract, and I get a remainder 1. So if I look here, this is my answer, and this is how I'm going to figure out what my mixed number is. So you take the number that evenly you could divide. So 2 was the number you could put. 3 goes into 7 evenly 2 times. That is going to be your whole number. Then your remainder, which is 1, is going to become the numerator of your mixed numbers fraction. And then the denominator is just whatever your original fraction's denominator was, which was 3. So our mixed number is 2 1/3. Let's try the following problems. So the first one says to write the mixed number as an improper fraction. So my mixed number is 1 3/8. So the first step of changing a mixed number into an improper fraction is you are going to multiply the denominator times the whole number. So 8 times 1, well, that's 8. Then the second step is to take the answer, which was 8, and you're going to add it to your numerator. So 8 plus 3 is 11. Then how you come up with the denominator of your mixed number is you just use whatever the denominator was for the original fraction, which was 8. So it is going to be 8. So your 1 3/8 written as an improper fraction is 11/8. Now if you look at the next one, it says write the improper fraction as a mixed number. So we have 4/3. So remember, you're going to look at this line, fraction bar, and think of it as a division sign. So you're going to think 4 divided by 3. How many times does 3 go into 4 evenly? Well, it's 1, and then I'm going to have a remainder of 1. So we take this answer. We look at the whole number. This becomes the whole number. Then I look at my remainder, which is 1. That becomes the numerator of our fraction in our mixed number. And then your denominator is exactly the same as the original fraction. So your denominator is going to be 3. So your answer is 1 1/3. I'm going to try a couple more problems. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to take a mixed number, which is 3 1/5. We're going to change that into an improper fraction. So the first step is to multiply the denominator by the whole number. So 3 times 5 is 15. Then you take whatever that answer was and you add it to your numerator. So 15 plus 1, that's going to give me 16. And then your denominator stays the same as your original fraction, which is 5. So your answer is 16/5. The other problem I'm going to try is a improper fraction. So the improper fraction is 12/5. So you need to think of this fraction bar as a division sign. So let's do 12 divided by 5. Well, how many times does 5 go into 12 evenly? It's 2, and then I'm going to have a remainder of 2. So now I'm going to use this answer to figure out what my mixed number is. So I take the whole number, that becomes my whole number and my mixed number. Then you look at your remainder, which is 2, that becomes your numerator, and your denominator stays exactly the same as the original problem. So your answer is going to be 2 2/5.